The thing that initially drew me to mountain biking was the endless opportunity for progression.
Oh, God, that's horrible.
Cleaning that technical trail, having more energy for longer, higher intensity rides, and seeing new line opportunities. Nestled in amongst the adrenaline, the burning lungs, and the aching legs, it was that game of one-upsmanship against myself that kept me coming back. But inevitably, I hit a wall. My progression slowed, and at some point, you need someone to teach you what you don't know that you don't know. And that's when I decided that I needed help. So I called up local skills coach, Ken Germaine. What Ken taught me was that if mountain biking can be distilled down to a single skill, it's body position. This impacts everything on the bike: agility, balance, stability, and traction. Now, YouTube videos are great for general information, but a coach is way more able to make it personal to your needs. So to help me better understand body position, Ken provided me with customized cues and drills. Cues act as a focus. They allow your mind to isolate one specific aspect of a skill at a time. The first 3 cues that Ken gave me were stand up tall, hinge, and drop your shoulders. I needed my chest to be closer to the bars, my weight a bit farther back on the bike, and my legs to be straighter. Simple enough, but without the cues to help my mind focus, I found myself very easily overwhelmed, thinking about way too many things at once. Drills, on the other hand, are the context for these cues, where we can safely practice and execute the cue, allowing our bodies to learn how these positions should feel before taking it to the trail. Now, my drills were simple: a figure of 8 and simulated switchbacks. For most of us, drills and cues are not new ideas, and while there is a tremendous amount of value in a coach tailoring them for their students' unique needs, the real reason to take a lesson is feedback. Independent learning is a powerful tool, but feedback from a skilled coach, learning where I was going wrong in the moment, making immediate corrections, and then feeling the improvements from those corrections, is why coaching is so valuable. Now, with sport, and specifically extreme sport, there's a couple ways that we can get feedback. And honestly, with mountain biking, one of the best ways to get feedback is just to ride your bike. As long as we're putting in a conscious effort to get better, just putting ourselves into different situations can teach us an enormous amount about how to keep the bike under control. But the problem is that this also requires us to make an enormous number of mistakes. By its very nature, coaching removes some of the danger from the learning process and allows you to focus your energy on what needs work, meaning we're able to stay safer and also expedite our development. Now, regardless of whether we're learning independently or learning with a skills coach, the key ingredient to making steady progress is that we have to balance the challenge of the task with our ability level. That's not to say we have to chuck ourselves off of features that we're absolutely not ready for, but that is to say that that balance is critically important. To use an analogy, if you think about weightlifting in the gym, we have to train to a certain intensity so that our bodies know we're asking them to get stronger. If we're not doing a high enough volume, that stimulus isn't going to trigger the physiological reaction from our bodies that we want. With mountain biking, it's not dissimilar. If things are too easy, we don't get any better because our brains can just tune out. They aren't really required. Just like if things are too hard, we become anxious, overwhelmed, stressed out. We can't focus. But when the balance of ability and difficulty is just right, we can learn an enormous amount. And this is why I spaced my lessons out. I took 3 lessons in total. The first 2 were 2 weeks apart, and the last was 2 months later. This gave me lots of time to practice, but it also gave me time to travel, to test the ideas that Ken and I had been working on in new, different, and challenging terrains. In my case, we went to Squamish, and after the time that I spent there, I can say definitively that I was able to integrate Ken's lessons and come back a much different rider. From the beginning to the end of the season, my times improved by an average of 24%. Before I sought coaching, I worked on fitness as a means to get faster. And that worked, but the gains were marginal, about 3% a year. So by improving my bike handling through coaching, that proved to be 8 times more effective for my speed than focusing on fitness. And despite my skills focus, I still became more fit. I rode tons. Framing those rides as opportunities to practice the skills Ken and I were working on encouraged me to session trails and features, to push for PRs, and to try new features and terrain. Not to mention that I spent days that would otherwise have been rest days just noodling in parking lots on the cues and drills that Ken had given me. So yeah, I put in a lot of work for the improvements that I saw. But it all started with a lesson. And regardless of where you are in your riding, I suspect you'll find yourself in a similar situation to me, which is that taking a lesson will have the biggest impact on your riding. And as a result, it's the single best way to spend your money if you want to grow as a rider. Now, I hope that this has encouraged you to go out and find that coach. If not one-on-one, look for clinics or small group classes. Now that said, every student still needs to put in the work. So know that after lessons, deliberate practice is going to have the next biggest impact on your riding. So do yourself a favor. Get out there and book a lesson, go get some cones, and make some mistakes. We'll see you next time.
Whoa. I don't know. There's something about this one that's freaking me out. I'm gonna chicken shit my way past that.